Biological method. Science is a systemized knowledge. Like other sciences, biological sciences also have a set methodology. It's based on experimental inquiry. It always begins with the chance observation. Observations are made with the five senses. These are vision, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, depending upon their functional ability. Observations can both be qualitative and quantitative. Quantitative observations have accuracy over qualitative observations. As in the former, variables are measurable and are recorded in the terms of numbers. An observer organizes observations into data form and gives a statement as per experience and background knowledge of the event. This statement is hypothesis, which is tentative explanation of the observations. At this stage, you should look at the ways of devising hypotheses. There are two ways of formulating hypotheses. A hypothesis can be a result of deductive reasoning, or it can be a consequence of inductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning moves from general to the specific. It involves drawing specific conclusions from some general principles or assumptions. Deductive logic of if to then is frequently used to frame testable hypotheses. For example, if we accept that all birds have wings, premise number 1, and that sparrows are the birds, premise number 2, then we conclude that the sparrows have wings. If all green plants require sunlight to photosynthesis, then any green plant when placed in dark would not synthesize glucose, the end product of photosynthesis. The other way of reasoning used in formulation of hypotheses is inductive reasoning, which is reasoning from specific to general. It begins with the specific observations and leads to the formation of general principles. For instance, if we note that sparrows have wings and are birds, and we know that eagle, parrot, hawk, crow are birds, then we induce or draw conclusion that all birds have wings. The science also, therefore, uses inductive methods to generalize from specific events. In fact, sometimes scientists also use other ways to form a hypothesis, which may include intuition or imagination, static preference, religious or philosophical ideas, comparisons, analogy with other processes, discovery of one thing while looking for some other thing. These ways can also sometimes form basis for scientific hypotheses. Hypotheses, as you already know, are subjected to rigorous testing. Repeated exposures of hypotheses to possible falsifications increases scientists' confidence in the hypothesis when it is not falsified. Any hypothesis that is tested again and again without ever being falsified is considered well supported and is generally accepted. This may be used as a basis for formulating further hypotheses. So there is soon a series of hypotheses supported by the results of many tests, which is then called a theory. A good theory is predictive and has explanatory power. One of the most important features of good theory is that it may suggest new and different hypotheses. A theory of this kind is called productive. However, in the case of productive theory, the testing goes on. In fact, many scientists take it as a challenge and exert even greater efforts to disprove the theory. If a theory survives this skeptical approach and continues to be supported by experimental evidence, it becomes a scientific law. A scientific law is a uniform or constant fact of nature. It is virtually an irrefutable theory. Biology is short in laws because of elusive nature of life. Examples of biological laws are Hardy-Weinberg law, Mendel laws of inheritance. You can see that laws are even more general than the theories and afford answers to even more complex questions. Therefore, there are relatively few laws in biology.